welcome back to Season 2 of Plat'n, at episode 22, and we're starting with an absolutely excellent account, you might say, in Excellences. Excellence, of course, is a veteran royalty of the Platinum Standard Discord, so it'd be nice to be able to go through his account and view it in the best way possible. Now, Season 2, we've got a new layout. We're going to reveal the set in a couple of seconds, but of course, if you would like your own account looked at, maybe even in this season, do leave it in the comments below or join the Platinum Standard. Now, let's jump in. And here we are, the new set. As you can see, it's bigger, it's better, it's more beautiful. We'll be able to see Excellence's statistics a little bit better in the last season. Stuff was a little bit cropped and stuff like that. I quite like it. Let me know what you think, but let's look into the general statistics of the Excellence before we jump in. The Excellence, geez, I'm already giving you a title, mate. I already know, spoilers, that this is an absolute banger of an account, as Black Ops 4's Platinum there can probably give away. But let's go have a look at what his first trophy was. So if I go to the right monitor first, but if I scroll down, you can see that he has a lot of milestones, which is great. But his first trophy was in GTA 4 14 years ago, with the first Platinum being in Resistance 2, which I don't believe Resistance 2 did it have awful multiplayer. It's from the era of awful multiplayer. I know obviously Crisis 2 had awful multiplayer, but I can't quite remember if Resistance 2 did. Their most recent Platinum is in Monopoly Madness, which is a real gamble because now that is on this video. But let's look at the list itself. So to start us off here, only one Assassin's Creed, which we're going to have to talk about that Excellence. I'm not a happy chappy. This is very upsetting. But Assassin's Creed 2 in 2013, this is a lot of people's first Platinum trophy, obviously the first game with Ezio. One of the fun things about Assassin's Creed, obviously going through Ezio's life, you start as a literal baby and go all the way to old man Ezio, which is a really nice touch. But you've only got the second game here. I would like to at least see Brotherhood and Unity and Black Flag and Origins and Odyssey and Valhalla and Revelations and Chronicles added in the future. I think you can do that for me, Excellence. We then get into the Batman games with Arkham Asylum twice. This is the first stack of the list, and it's a good one right there. I could only manage one of these myself because I'm really bad at the combat challenges. You've then done half of Arkham City. I'm going to take an educated guess and say that the half that is not done is the combat challenges, which I know are exceptionally brutal in this version of the game. We then have no Night and no Origins. Maybe Gotham Knights further on the list, who knows? But do you plan on going back and doing Night perhaps? Maybe getting all of the 100% in the trilogy, and Origins, of course, would definitely be very nice to see. We then have only a little bit of Bioshock 1. You dabbled underwater, you weren't a fan, fair enough. We then have the Platinum, but not the 100% in Infinite. Now, I do know Infinite's a lot of people's favorite. For me, it's probably the weakest game in the list. I actually really don't like the DLC either, which I know is a very unpopular opinion. I know, put the pitchforks down. It's okay. We can hug it out. It's all good. But not a lot of people liked how that tied in. I didn't really. I am interested. Let me open this up real quick. I am interested. I can't remember. Is the Blue Ribbon Challenges DLC, or are they base game? Okay, this DLC right here, Clash in the Clouds, this sucked. This was awful. This was essentially a wave-based fighting different hordes using different abilities. Thankfully, this here, complete all Blue Ribbon Challenges, was glitched. And so if you just did the rest of these trophies here, and you left that to be your last trophy in the game alongside the Platinum, or the last, if you left it to be the last trophy alongside one of these trophies in this DLC, they would pop simultaneously for reasons, and you would be able to skip doing all the challenges, which was very, very nice. We then have Bloodborne's 100%. You know I love to see that one. I really need to do that myself. I obviously have the Platinum and 100% on my old account Mudstuffin', but I've been very lazy on Symmetry. We then have Bound at a 0.67% ultra rare. I think that's the rarest trophy we've had on the list so far, which is obviously fantastic to see. We then go from fantastic to see to miserable to see in Burn Zombie Burn, which tragically you can't get the 100% on. Some of the trophies, as you can see, 4 here, are unobtainable, which is devastating to see. And Excellence, I'm sorry that Cowbear recommends this to you literally every day. We then have Cabela's Big Game Hunter 2010, which is a really unique one to see here. Obviously, Cabela's was very, very popular back in the day on like the original Xbox and PS2. Used to go into like a Blockbuster or a Video Easy, and you would see so many of these games for rent. You essentially explore a wilderness and hunt animals. That's it right there. I believe the spiritual successor is Call of the Wild, which I've heard very good things from. I believe Dorothy in the Discord recommends that game quite a bit. We then get into, okay, Excellence. I think this makes up for the lack of Assassin's Creeds. Look at this Call of Duty stack. Oh, this is juicy. We've got Black Ops 1 without the DLC. Come on, man, you can do that. We have Black Ops 4's 100%, which is someone who is very, 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 very slowly working through this. I adore to see this right here. We then have Declassified, which was the weird Vita Call of Duty Black Ops, which I've heard is not particularly great. We then have Ghosts 100%, which is one I'm currently working on myself. You didn't wait for me for the DLC, my feelings. We then have Infinite Warfare, again, same time without me, my feelings. This is some real heartbreak in this list. Infinite Warfare is one I would love to have myself. I'm just shy of the Platinum. I literally just have to sit down and do all the zombies. I've played the maps a little bit. I know they're very enjoyable, but can't believe you did them without me, man. We then have Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, which of course, the classic. I will be interested, are you going to do the remaster that's coming out now that I'm actually working on a video for? So stay tuned on the channel for that Platinum journey. Not actual Platinum journey. I'm not Adam McDermott, even though I'm bald. I'm the Discount Wish Australian version. Symmetry. We then have Modern Warfare 2 Campaign Remastered. We have Modern Warfare 3, the Platinum, but without the 100%, which I believe from memory is entirely all that Horde mode, if I'm not mistaken, which was a lot of fun back in the day. So I would say that's probably a good one to go back and potentially clean up. We then have Modern Warfare 1 Remastered, which introduction to Captain Price, if you discount the Captain Price that's in Call of Duty Classic, of course, the random one that's in World War II that looks identical to Captain Price from Modern Warfare. So is he just a never-aging god? Who knows? So many questions. We then have Call of Duty World War II to round it out without the 100%. That's one that I pip you on there, man. World War II is fantastic, heavily, heavily underrated. People hated this game. I thought the campaign was a Michael Bay campaign, a lot of explosions, good fun. The multiplayer was super arcadey for a Call of Duty, which I actually really enjoyed. Something about the hit marker sound effect that just slept so deeply after a night of slaughtering people in gun game. And then, of course, the zombies was like a really dark take on it. It was supposed to be quite spooky. There was some very hard Easter eggs. I met some very, very good friends doing that. Shout out to Dibble and Matthew from Missing, if I can get the name right, Missing Collectible. I met those guys doing the DLC for this game. Met some very good friends, some very good memories right there. We then have Celeste, which I know you did very recently, which is a very fun little platformer where I believe you're trying to succeed all whilst your alter ego is trying to sabotage and murder you, which is a really cool concept. It's free on PS Plus Extra, I believe. It's one that I need to do myself. I've had it installed literally since PS Plus Extra came out. So maybe I'll do a video on that game at some point. Do let me know in the comments if you would like to see that, of course. We then have Claire, which is a kind of average spooky movie tie-in sort of game thing. I don't know how I would describe Claire other than not my cup of tea personally, but I know a lot of people quite enjoyed it. We then have Conan Exiles, Platinum without the 100%. You got this free on PS Plus. I imagine 2 hours and 1 minute. You use the console commands there. I remember you needed, I did too, so that's how I know. But guilty. I do remember you needed one other person for a trophy where you had to drop a rock on their head or something, so there was a bit of coordination there. You then have the 100% in concrete genie, which I am extremely jealous of. I have the Platinum, but I don't own a VR, so technically that is the one unobtainable on my list, which is very, very painful. It's a very sad day unless I can borrow a VR at some point, because I'm not buying one for Concrete Genie's 3 DLC trophies. We then have some Crash Bandicoot here with 1, 2, and 3, all 100%ed, which is very impressive to see, especially those DLCs in Crash 1, Stormy Ascent, and the High Road, I believe is the other one, are both very, very tricky. Not my cup of tea, but you've smashed these out and got the 100%. We then have Critic Crunch, which I've never heard of in my life, so GG right there, excellence. Cuphead's Platinum, but not 100%, and you did it this year, so I am curious, will you be going back to Cuphead at some point to knock out those DLCs? That's one that I really should do myself at some point as well. And speaking of games that I should do myself at some point, I love that you have Dante's Inferno's 100%, where you play as a knight who goes into the 7 depths of hell to rescue your beloved. It's a God of War clone. There's a lot of hack and slash, but it is awesome. I really enjoy that game. And if I had a PS3 Platinums on Symmetry, you better believe I'd be hunting a copy of that game and its DLC down. We then have Darksiders 2. You dabbled in it for 1%. That hurts. If you were to go back and clean up a game, this is the one so far. That would boost your completion rate even higher. We then get into a Trilogy of Dead Nations, the PS3 one, you've done some half of the game in. The Vita, you've got the Platinum, but not the 100%. And then I believe that the PS4 version is a redux of some sort. I think it's called Apocalypse Edition, and it actually includes the DLC in the base list. So that is why you have the 100% on this version and not the Vita version. We then have some Dead Space here, and we've got some real good Dead Space with Dead Space, the original Platinum. We then have Dead Space 2's Platinum, but not 100%, which I didn't know that this had DLC. I'm now curious. I did not know that this had it. Dead Space 2 Severed. Complete the campaign, complete chapter 1, complete chapter 2, take out the gunship. Zealot difficulty, I assume, is the same as the base game where you have 3 lives. 16 enemies, find the Peng treasure, defend the quarry platform. Okay, so it doesn't look too bad. It looks like a lot of people have the trophies. Obviously, the base game is notoriously difficult for you got to play on hardcore, I believe it's called, and you have to beat the game in 3 lives or less, which is very, very tricky. You've got to sort of plan when you're going to save and replay quite a lot of game. I had attempted this back in the day myself. It didn't go quite as well as your attempt by the look of it. We then have half of Dead Space 3, which is sort of the black sheep of the family, I guess you would call it. A lot of people really don't like this one. I will say Dead Space 3 is a blast in co-op. And the DLC is pretty good too. I remember they had like a Mass Effect 3 ending kind of thing, where this one actually had DLC that tied it in quite well. We then have Ignition, which I believe is the on-rails shooter of the family. I know there's a few things like that, but I believe this is the on-rail shooter. We then have some Deep Rock Galactic, which it looks like you might have started when it came out on PS Plus and are slowly chipping away at, just like everyone else who's going for that 300-hour platinum. We then have Destiny 1's Platinum, but not 100%. I'm going to take an educated guess and say that the raids are what you have left for the DLC. And then you've dabbled in Destiny 2, but not got very far. I do know that there's a few people in the Discord who love Destiny, such as Epic. So if you ever wanted to clean that up, maybe ask Epic if he could carry you through it, because that man is cracked in every game he ever plays. We then have Detroit Become Human, David Cage. It's trash, in my opinion. It's robots have feelings, but maybe they don't have feelings, but they definitely do have feelings. And then Clancy Brown is the only thing of interest in the game. We We then have Downwell, where you literally go down a well. That's the platinum. Go down the well, get the trophies. It's a win-win, really. Echo Chrome is a weird artsy game where there's the little wooden little art mannequin things that you can, I don't know why I'm throwing my arms around because you can't see them on the camera, but I'm having a mad crack at it. We then have Fallout New Vegas, dabbled in, didn't get very far. I know a few people like John Zier having a go at this game in the Discord as well, actually, at the moment. Frozen Freefall Snowball Fight. I'm still shocked that you're playing this at the moment. I assume this is a long grind, especially given that it's 0.59%. Just let it go, man. Let it go. We then have Gauntlet, which I believe is a free MOBA sort of thing that is on the store. Another one that's got some brutal trophies, hence the 2.13% completion rates. We then have Ghost Runner's Platinum in a day. Very impressive. That's a lot of skill there. You don't have the DLC though. I will say I have the 100% in Ghost Runner myself. Humble brag is not humble. I will say Ghost Runner is one of my favorite games I played this year. I thought it was chef's kiss. I thought it was phenomenal. I will say the DLC is definitely worth playing. It's good. It's really, really good. It's more of the same, of course, but you get a lot of unique abilities that I thought were absolutely fantastic. We then get an absolute stack of God of Wars here with the remaster, or the reboot 2018's one. Boy, that one. We then have the original God of War 2, God of War 3, 2 times. One of them taking you a year and one of them taking you sub a month. So, fair enough. I personally prefer the original formula, but I am very excited for God of War Ragnarok. I do have it pre-ordered and pre-downloaded, ready to go. So expect a video from me on that game in the near-ish maybe future. I've got a few videos I need to put out. I also need to play more games that came out this year. I need to do Tunic and Sifu, stuff like that, so that I can do the inaugural Simi Game of the Year Awards. It's going to be very fun. We then have some Golden Axe, which you've got about half of the percent. You're only 4 trophies away from the 100%, which I know are fairly grindy trophies, I believe. We then get some Grand Theft Auto here with 4 and 5. You've actually got quite a lot of 4. I'm going to assume that you've done all of the story in the base game, all of the story in the Ballad of Gay Tony, and all of the story in Lost in the Damned, minus the multiplayer. I'm going to say that that's how that list has got to 69% without a platinum there. And then, of course, GTA 3 on the PS4. A lot of unobtainables, which unfortunately you can't get, which is very sad. My heart goes out to you, my friend. Alrighty, and then we get into some Hitman 1, which I believe was out on Plus around the time that you were working on this. You've done 9 of the 69 trophies. I would definitely like to see the rest of these done. These are obviously very, very fun. You've got, I believe the first game has 7 locales, each with about 20 levels of masteries you've got to do, which requires you to essentially take on the level in a variety of different ways. It's very, very fun. Highly recommend it. Of course, I am biased given that it's a bald man recommending a bald man. We then have some Hollow Knight with the 100%. You did this in 4 days, which is super impressive, super, super fast. This is another one I've been meaning to do at some point, one that I've had to pin to do a video on since teasing it, I believe, in the Resident Evil 7 video. Go give that a cheeky watch if you wish. We then have Horizon Zero Dawn, which is the good Aloy game. Thankfully, you don't have the other one, which is the bad one, Forbidden West, which it has DLC now, and that hurts my soul because that means I've got to go back to that. We then have some Hydrophobia, fear of water. It's very scary. Followed by some Bread, which is what I'm truly scared of because this Platinum is brutal, and I've heard not particularly great things from you in the Platinum Standard. I know you are not a massive fan of this game. We then get into a burst of Infamous games here with Infamous 1, Infamous 2, First Light, and Second Son. The only one you are missing is Oh no. Festival of Blood, the spin-off to Infamous 2 featuring vampires. Obviously, if I were to rate this series, I would say Infamous 2 is the best, followed by the original Infamous, followed by Second Son, followed by every other game under the sun, and then First Light at the end. Simply just because I don't like big arena games, and this is one of those ones where the bulk of the trophies were based on different points and stuff you did in an amount of time, and that's just not for me personally. We then get some Jack X Combat Racing, which I think might be the first time we've seen Jack X on this list without another Jack and Daxter game, which is very interesting. This was almost a spin-off to the main trilogy that where you drove. This was a racing game. You fought other cars as you raced, kind of like Mario Kart, I guess. This is a lot worse than Mario Kart, but some people enjoyed this one. I personally didn't back in the day. We then have Just Cause 3. You dabbled in, didn't really get too far into it, fair enough. This is one that I also am not a massive fan of. I am tempted just to get the multiplayer trophies out of the way so that one day, I might go back and do it, but that means that I've got the game on my account and have to play it at some point, and it's just not a particularly good game in my opinion. I really enjoyed Just Cause 2. Just Cause 3 has a lot of frame rate issues. I don't know if they've fixed them in patches since I played, but I also just didn't like the arcadey sort of driving and stuff. Using the left analog stick to drive was rough in that game, in my opinion. We then have Killing Floors 100%. You went back and did the Halloween trophy during October, obviously for the Spooky ABC competition that is currently running in the Discord at the moment, which I think you have a few games on the board. I know you've got this, I know you've got things like Subnautica, which I'm sure we'll see later, so that's a nice 100% to see there. Some of us had to do that entire 100% this month, and leveling to 25 in Killing Floor is brutal, don't recommend. We then have Killing Floor 2's 100%, which is insanely impressive to see. Obviously, you had to do things like be number 1 on the leaderboard in a week, which was very, very impressive. All of the multiplayer is shut for all of the kill zones now. You actually have... Ooh, hold on. Killzone 3, do you have the unobtainable trophies? I'm going to assume not. I'm going to assume the DLC is there it is. There it makes me sad. The orange makes me sad, but you do have the Platinum, which is obviously incredibly impressive. You also did the Platinum in Shadowfall. You didn't do the DLC. I did. I went back and did that DLC during closure. It sucked. It was very, very boring. Nothing difficult, just boring. Sadly, it's unobtainable now as well. And then, of course, same deal with Mercenary. However, you did smash out the 100%, which is amazing to see. We then have Knack's 100%. I am curious, will you be doing Knack 2 at some point? This is where you play as the Gemstone Transformer as he goes around and plays 17 playthroughs for RNG chests. It's a good time. I do plan on doing it at some point myself. We then have Kung Fu Panda, Shadow of Legendary Legends, which is insanely a 0.77% platinum. I believe this is because there is quite a lot of grinding multiplayer, which I do know you smashed out very, very recently in less than a week, which is really impressive to see. We then have Lead and Gold, Gangs of the Wild West. You dabbled in it, weren't a fan, and moved on. Only one Lego game on this list, which is nice to see in all honesty. Lego Ninjago, the movie, the video game, the deluxe edition of Lego. This is Lego Ninjago's video game based on, I believe, the movie, as hence why the movie's in the title. This is a tangent. I've heard decent things, actually. I do know Dibble from Missing Collectible was a big fan of this one. I'm just not game enough to take that recommendation. We then have Little Big Planet 1, which obviously has unobtainable multiplayer trophies, which is a real shame. I'm gonna assume that you don't have some of them. Let's take a gander. Let's go have a look. We'll see if we have anything here. Oh, this is not looking good. There they are. They're kicking in now. Oh, you actually have quite a few of the unobtainable trophies, which is really nice to see. We then have Lumo, some Madden here with Madden NFL 11, which is, Oh, you got some grinding to do there, buddy. We then have Mag, which is a weird PS3 shooter that I believe is entirely unobtainable now with server closures. It was a competitive shooter that it was okay from memory. I've never heard anyone say it was their favorite game, but I've never heard anyone say it was awful either. We then have some magic orbs with the 100% right there. Spider-Man Marvel, you're missing 2 trophies. Let me guess, New Game Plus and New Game Plus on hard. That is, I don't even need to go into that list. I know exactly what you're missing right there. I reckon you could probably do them in less than a day. I think I did from memory. Kind of boring if you played through the entire base game already, especially after doing the other DLC too, which I thought were pretty much the definition of boring filler. The base game being fantastic, everything else not fantastic. I've never really heard people talk about the DLC much, and I think that really emphasizes just how filler they actually were. We then have some Max Payne 3 here. You dabbled in it. Obviously, the servers are closed. I think you could technically do things like New York Minute and stuff still, although I'm not entirely sure why you would. You've got Medal of Honor PS3, which was one of the 2 reboots that they did for Medal of Honor. I don't hate either of those games. I think this is the one with really crap multiplayer, but I don't hate either of these, and this is a good example of a decent shooter from 2010. Nothing special, definitely not as good as games like Frontline here, which was, I think, one of my first FPSs back in the day in like 2003. Amazing game. I still remember the first mission, which is storming Normandy on D-Day, and it is incredible. That's an absolute fantastic opening. You then go into like a bunker mineshaft, and the game gets very hard very quick. We then have some Mercenary Kings, which is a very, very rare PS3 game that I think is worth a fortune these days, or PS4 game. Is it PS3 and PS4 maybe? I'm not entirely sure. I do know that the Platinum trophy is very rare at a 1.39%. We then have Middle-earth, Shadow of Mordor. You've got the Platinum but not the 100%, which I don't blame you. The Hunter's My Mistress is very, very rough. Mighty Number 9's here, which is a sort of a knockoff of Mega Man, I think made by the original creator of Mega Man that people weren't big on. We've got some Mirror's Edge, your most recent Platinum in Monopoly Madness, which I believe is free on PS Plus. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll play this one. Yeah, maybe I will. Maybe I will. I know this only actually took you a couple of days. You were saying in the Platinum Standard, you just left it for like 2 weeks. We then have some Mortal Kombat, which obviously is unobtainable, sadly. I believe it's the Battle Tower that is unobtainable. We've got Mortal Shell, which... that game hurts my soul. I was within, I think, 25 minutes away from the Platinum and hurtling towards it like a bold shooting star, and then my save file corrupted, so I have to play the entire game again if I want that Platinum, and I did not like that game enough to do another playthrough. You've got the DLC to do at some point, which I do know requires another playthrough, so good luck, man. I won't be joining you on that journey. We then have Multiversus 100%, which is super impressive to see. This is the DC sort of answer to Smash Bros, I guess. We've got some Mushroom Wars, which sounds like a fantastic time. We've got some NASCAR here with The Game 2011 and Unleashed. I've never understood why sports games put The Game in their title. Yeah. No, I thought I was reading. This is a video game? We then have some NCAA football with 11, 12, and 13, 2 of which are unobtainable, which means, tragically, you won't be earning these, which hurts my soul. I'm sorry to see this, Excellence. We then have some Need for Speed with the rebooted Need for Speed at the DLC, but not the 100%, which I believe the 100% is brutal. Let's take a quick sneaky peeky down here. Reach rep level 70 isn't too awful, just grindy. And then the ones that are awful are win gold on all prestigious events and all events in the speed list, which I've heard are not great. People don't enjoy that. Need for Speed Heat has been done here, which was obviously free on Plus last month, or sorry, September. This is now November, as of me recording this in Australia. We then have, we've got a few Need for Speeds here. I thought it was just the 2, but we've got a few. We've got the Heat. This is one that I really want to do myself. Maybe I will do this very soon. I've got so many games in so little time. We've got some Payback here, Hot Pursuit, Rivals, and The Run, which is obviously has 11 unobtainables. Let's take a peek to see if you've got the unobtainables. I've got my fingers crossed. And while I've got my fingers crossed, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, because I can't reach out of this box. I've been trying all day. I can't do it. So do me a favor and smack it for me. We've got the Platinum's unobtainable. That is unattainable, tragically. Yeah, so no Platinum for you, Excellence, which hurts the soul. I am very sorry to see that, man. We then have Outlast 100%. I know you did this for the Spooky ABC competition, which is fantastic to see. And Outlast 2 done in a week, which is staggering. This might be my favorite thing on your entire list. For those of you who don't know why this is as big a deal as it is, you have to beat the game on the hardest difficulty, which is one shot and you're dead. You've got to do it without using your camera. You can only use one battery, which on this difficulty lasts, I think, 2.5 minutes from memory. I've had a few runs of this myself. I've made it to the final area a few times. There's one spot in the game where a dude with a bow is firing arrows at you. Getting past that is 100% down to the RNG gods. There is no skill. It is just maybe he misses, maybe he doesn't miss. And if he doesn't miss, you're playing the game for about 1.5 hours again. So fun times. You smashed it out in a week, and I am eternally jealous of that. We then have some Overcooked, which you dabbled in but didn't get too terribly far into. Fair enough. Some Pixel Junk Shooter, Planet Coaster. This is one that I really want to do myself. I didn't know that you actually had this, Excellence. I will be asking you about it in the Discord later. I do know that you can cheese it a little bit in that you can, I believe you can use other people's creations or something. So there's roller coasters and stuff designed specifically for certain trophies. But still, that's very impressive, and I didn't know it was as rare as it is. I guess being free on PS Plus must have plummeted it quite a bit. We then have some Plants vs. Zombies, which you were very, very close on, missing only one trophy, and I believe this is actually the classic Plants vs. Zombies where you essentially... Is it like a tower defense, I guess? So you've got your plants on one side and the zombies are slowly moving towards them, and you got to stack your lanes up to stop them from getting to your front porch, I guess. I've actually never played the classic Plants vs. Zombies, so I'm going off memory. Battle for Neighborville, on the other hand, is like a third-person competitive shooter that was amazing. I loved the Plants vs. Zombies third-person shooters. These were great fun back in the day. We then have, you've dabbled in Prototype, which is kind of like, think Infamous or Amazing Spider-Man, except you are a psychopath and you destroy everything and everyone. It's great fun. Alrighty, and to start the R's, we have some Ragdoll Kung Fu Fist of the Plastic, which I'd hope your fists weren't plastic, they'd melt. We then have some decent Ratchet and Clanks here with the 2016 reboot, A Crack in Time, which is the one where you obviously go through time, and then All for One, which was the sort of really average co-op one. I remember there was a lot of grinding for different points and stuff, which kind of really let that one down. We then have some Resident Evils with Biohazard's Platinum, not the 100%. Obviously, I did a video of this on the channel if you do want to go and give that a cheeky squiz. We then have Revelations 2, which is a really, really impressive one to have here, actually, which is one that I've been meaning to do myself. Obviously, Revelations 1 and 2 both have a really grindy raid mode, which kind of lets them down a bit and is very terrifying, but definitely a nice ultra rare right there. And then, of course, the Platinum, but not the 100% for Village. Obviously, the DLC The Winter's DLC came out, what, 2 days ago, I want to say, as of recording. I also haven't got around to this, but I've watched one of my good friends play through this, and there are some terrifying bits. I'm looking forward to doing this myself very, very soon. We then get into Resistance 2, which is amazing to see. Judging by the 5 unobtainable trophies right here, I was correct in my suspicions that there is brutal multiplayer, because it is from the era of brutal PS3 multiplayers. And then Resistance 3, which has no multiplayer, but it does have co-op, which was very, very fun. You could do split screen co-op. I did this with my younger sister at one point back in the day. Absolutely fantastic game. I remember the prison sequence in Resistance 3 being really, really fun. We then have Burning Skies, which was the most recent Resistance. It was the one on the Vita. This is a series I would love to see them bring back at some point, but I strongly doubt they will. We then get some Resogun, which was a launch title for the PS4. As you can see, tragically, the servers are down, meaning that the I think it's just 100%. I think the Platinum is still obtainable. Let's have a look here. I think it's still obtainable, but there's DLC that's oh, maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong. It looks like the Platinum's unobtainable because of one trophy, but you already have them, so congratulations there, mate. We then have some Res Infinite, some Rocket League minus, I assume, the most recent DLC, or maybe 2 DLCs based on the 11 trophies you're missing. I think that might be 2 DLCs. We've got some Rogue Warrior, which is a very average shooter from memory. Some Sultan Sanctuary, which is a very high-praised, side-scrolling Souls-like that I really need to try at some point. I haven't played Sultan Sanctuary or the sequel, Salt and Pepper. We then have some Sam & Max with The Devil's Playhouse, episode 1, 2, and 3. Some secret ponchos, which can't be too secret because you found all of them for that 100%. Some Shatter. So we've got, we've got Skate 3's 100% right here, which that's unobtainable. That hurts to see. We've got some Sonic with Sonic Forces and Sonic the Hedgehog. I'm sure Dionysus in the Discord will really appreciate seeing both of these on here, but I think would probably like you to finish them. We then have some Space Overlord, some Sparkle 2, some Sparkle Unleashed. You really like sparkling. Have you heard of a movie called Twilight? We then have some Spec Ops The Line, which is an amazing third-person shooter that goes into a lot of like the horrors of war and the psychology behind certain actions and stuff like that, which was really, really cool. It reminds me a lot of the movie Apocalypse Now in terms of that sort of jazz. We've then got some Splitgate, some Steep. You like your snowboarding, which is nice to see. It's good to see that the DLC must now be obtainable, because I do know for the longest time this had an unobtainable tag on it. We then got some Streets of Rage 2, some Strider, some Super Time Force, which is super ultra rare at a 2.35. We've got some Tabletop Racing, Terminator Salvation, which of course is a classic of the PS3 era. This was an OG easy peasy platinum, and these used to make you still work for them back in the day, which is kind of tragic to see. We got some Tesla Grad, The Evil Within's 100%, which is an amazing one to see here that I know you also did for the Spooky ABC competition. Very, very impressive. How did you go on Akumu mode? I am interested to hear about the horrors of that mode. I need to go back to this myself at some point, which will be very not fun. We've got the Order 1886, which of course is a short, very cutscene heavy, over the top, over the shoulder third person shooter, I guess. We got some Titanfall 2's platinum. It took you 2 years. I'm guessing that was because of the Gauntlet. Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Future Ultra Super Duper Soldier of Warrior Warfare. That's the name of it, I promise. This is a rough one with a lot of closed trophies. This was shut down very recently in September from memory. We actually have a list of all of the server shutdowns in the Discord if you wanted to keep up to date on all that juicy goodness and sadness in a lot of cases. We've got some Towerfall Ascension, some Trials Fusion, some Trine, Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. These have all been sort of dabbled in, but I'm guessing you just didn't really enjoy too much. We then get some Uncharted here with 2's remaster with the Platinum, no brutal difficulty. and I'm guessing the speed runs are the other 2 trophies you're missing there. We've got Drake's Deception as well, which is the 3rd game. Same deal by the look of it. And then, of course, the first game, again, same deal. No brutal difficulty, no speed runs, no Donut Drake, Ultimate Sadness. We then have some Unit 13's 100% Until Dawn, which is one that I should do that for the comp. Oh, wait, I can't do that for the comp. No, wait, I can. It's free with a PS5, isn't it? I think it's free digitally. I can do Until Dawn. That's great to know. I was going to say I couldn't in theory because my PS5 is digital only, and I have the PS4 disc of Until Dawn somewhere in the closet behind me. But I think I can. I think it's digital, so I think I can do that one. We've got some Wolfenstein: The New Colossus here. Sorry, we skipped Welcome Park, which is the built-in like hub thing that was on the Vita. We've got some Wolfenstein New Colossus. It looks like you've done the story maybe once, gotten some collectibles, but haven't done Mein Leben. I'm going to double check that because you do incredibly difficult challenges for fun. So I am curious. Have you done? No, you haven't. Okay, but you've done the rest of the difficulties, and I assume this is one that when you sit down to eventually come back to this, you'll knock this out in like 3 seconds because you are very, very good at difficult trophies, and I am very, very jealous. We then have the New Order and the Old Blood, no Young Bloods, which keep it that way. And then to round out the list, we have Zen Pinball with 348 trophies, which what a stellar list. We've had some absolute bangers on here. Black Ops, Outlast 2 is one I'm insanely jealous of, but let's go have a look at the stats real quick. So if we scroll up to the top and we go across the stats, you'll be able to see it all in Season 2. We've got some upgrades. You can now see the entire screen. So I'm now no longer lazy. Huzzah! But we have 170 games for a 36.41% completion. In comparison, I think my account's pretty good, and I'm at like 40. So you are really good. I love to see anything sub 50%, and the lower you get, the more impressive it gets. And the 36 is chef's kiss. I'm throwing those out today. I'm spicy. We then got an average completion rate of 68%. You have 5,175 trophies. We've got whatever the point system means. And then we got an average of an A rank. So you do go back and do quite a lot of your cleanups. You do have quite a few E ranks here. I would like to see some of these bumped up. Obviously, you've got some unobtainables, given that this account is like 14 years old or something ridiculous. As you can see here, monthly activity is you've had some breaks, but January's been good to you with your highest month being February of this year with 456 trophies, which is incredible. And then as you can see, some more spikes through this year as well, and you earn trophies all through the day. Obviously, this is based on my own time zone in Australia, so I doubt that you earn most of your trophies at 3 AM in your own time zone. I doubt that, but if you do, that's pretty cool. And then if we go to level history, you can see here that Excellence had quite a big break between sort of late 2015 and 2022 before absolutely skyrocketing through this year. I like to think that's because they met me and found this channel and were internally inspired, but let's be real, they've done all of their hard stuff prior to my existence. But thank you for watching. If you made it this far, do let me know what you think of Season 2's layout here. Let me know if you think it's beautiful or if it needs changing, and let me know what your favorite flavor of, let me know what type of milk you buy. There we go. This has been episode 22. It's been an absolute blast. Excellence. Thank you so much for letting me go through your account, and thank you so much for the everlasting and ever growing support of the content. I appreciate it, mates. Anyway, I will catch you guys next week. I miss you already. Hugs and kisses. Bye bye.